Hey everybody, welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy. I'm Lex.
I'm Dan.
And we are a weekly video game news podcast.
We talk about video game news in a podcast format every week.
We're on all sorts of social media, such as Facebook, iTunes, Twitter,
YouTube.
Steam.
If you count YouTube as social media.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, more or less
right.
at this point.
Steam
too, yeah.
Yeah. I posted a discussion thread on Steam that was like, what do you think of this modding business?
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that a lot.
We're going to talk about that a lot today. Dan, what are some of the other things we're talking about today?
Some of the other things we're talking about today may include some new conferences that are cropping up at E3, some bad news about a game being canceled that made me very upset, and some of the controversy surrounding that. We're going to be talking about that modding stuff, because that's a big old news article at this point. Talking about Oculus Rift acquiring a new person on their staff, but still not giving us any sort of release date for their product, which is, par for the course at this point. And a bunch of other stuff. We have some other just announcements of games that are coming to new systems, or games that have been announced, or new information about games that have been in development for a while, like Final Fantasy 15. Which that article to me is hilarious.
They answered every question.
They answered every question. Not very well, but they did.
Every question.
But is Cindy too sexy?
Find out later on the show.
Find out. So, where are we going to start off here?
Do you want to start off with this?
I mean, this is what's up, so we might as well. We've been talking about how E3 has been getting a bunch of new conferences for E3 this year.
A lot of developers.
Square Enix,
Bethesda,
and Bethesda,
yeah,
have announced that they're doing their own separate things. I don't think Valve isn't doing a separate thing, although maybe Valve will have more to do with this.
That would make sense to me. Yeah,
this announcement is from today. There's a Polygon article, today being May 1st. Saying that PC gaming is getting its own press conference.
PC gaming?
Which is super vague. I thought this was odd when I saw it, because obviously Microsoft makes PC games. Bethesda makes PC games. Square Enix makes PC games.
No, they don't. That's not
there's many of these developers already make PC games, so I found it odd that we're getting a PC game conference. Because that doesn't really fall under a single company.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense at all.
It says here that Blizzard, Square Enix, Devolver Digital, and Bohemia Interactive are going to be some of the developers present. And they're going to have speakers like Cliffy B and Dean Hall. I'm not sure who Dean Hall is off the top of my head. But everybody knows Cliffy B. He's going to pop out from waist-high cover and start talking to everybody.
And then if he gets knocked out, somebody will just slap him on the back and tell him to get back in the fight. I mean, I guess it's cool because I know Devolver Digital does a lot of indie games, which...
Yeah, they do lots of cool stuff.
Yeah, and their stuff is always highlighted at conventions like PAX that have an emphasis on indie games, but you don't really see their stuff at E3. At least not in the limelight, right? So it's cool that they're going to have a big part to play in a press conference, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I know I have seen many people talking about how game development is moving so strongly towards the console market because the people feel like there's more money there. And PCs being kind of left by the wayside in some ways. Like, a lot of PC games nowadays kind of feel like console ports, as far as AAA titles go.
Okay.
I know, for example, Skyrim's interface was designed for consoles.
Yeah,
it was for PC.
That's why you needed to get a mod to get the interface.
Get a mod. We'll get
better.
to that. For 99 cents. So there's this... Nowadays, we're getting more PC games that kind of feel like they were designed more with consoles in mind. This is kind of a good sign, because it shows us that, maybe people are going to start jumping back into the PC development. We're going to start to see more things that are PC-centered than we have in the past several years. It mentions that... with the powerful and affordable hardware available, as well as thousands of games through Steam, Origin, and other platforms, and all these millions of people regularly watching esports, PC gaming is bigger than it's ever been.
Yeah, that's I think that is a really good argument to make for PC gaming, that all of the... We've been reporting on a lot recently, and we will be talking about today some more esports stuff.
And I'd say 95% of esports is on PC.
Yeah, and they're just huge.
There are tournaments for like Call of Duty and things like that on consoles, but it's nothing compared to what you see on PC platforms.
Oh, plus also Twitch, as we know, is just growing exponentially, and that's mostly based off of PC gaming.
Yes, indeed. So... It'll be interesting to see what they got here. Maybe Blizzard will announce something cool. Maybe not. Maybe
Blizzard has their own convention.
Maybe they'll just talk about Overwatch. We can only hope. And, I mean, this says, see what innovations lie ahead. I don't know, maybe they'll just talk about the Oculus Rift.
They probably will.
Speaking of esports, the, what is this organization? The International Esports Federation has partnered with the world sanctioning body for track and field in a publicity venture that they hope will lead esports to be taken more seriously by the public as a competitive sport. So...
Well, as we know, certain members of the public do not take it very seriously.
Yes.
Maybe we should talk about that next, after we finish with the story.
I wanted to kind of talk about it integrated with this.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to bring that up because you posted on our Facebook page an article about a radio host, sports radio host.
Colin Cowherd.
And he saw the esports that were televised on ESPN, and for whatever reason, he decided this was the worst thing he could possibly imagine, and it made him want to die.
A little bit of background to that.
A little bit of dramatic.
No, that's true. A little bit of background to that. As we found out on April 23rd from Engadget, esports, specifically Heroes of the Dorm, the Heroes of the Storm college championship thing, was being broadcast on ESPN2 on this past Sunday, which was the 26th.
Yes.
I believe. Does it say it in here? I bet it does, but I'm not finding it. Anyway, I think it's
26th, I believe.
Yeah. So yeah, and that was a big deal because it was the first time that anything like this was going to be on ESPN2. I think there was a thing about how Dota 2 had been on ESPN3. Mm-hmm. So they're just moving up the levels of ESPN.
Get onto that ESPN right after basketball.
Right after the basketball. So that happened. It didn't.
The rate things are going, maybe they'll just replace basketball.
Oh no, well, they'd replace baseball first. Let's be honest.
Okay, fair enough.
So I did a little research on viewership, and it was interesting. The ratings, the overnight ratings for ESPN2 were very, very low. They were like 0.1. Measured in millions.
Yes.
Which is, for television, super low, disappointing ratings. But the viewership on Twitch was like half the people that were watching Twitch at the time that event was going on were watching Heroes of the Dorm. So clearly people were interested. It just wasn't necessarily the ESPN2 market.
Right.
So anyway, a day later...
Mr. Colin Cowherd...
gets on his radio show that he has.
And he starts just dumping all over these big, huge nerds who think they're cool enough to be on ESPN.
Let's give some quotes here.
Yeah.
Here's what's going to get me off the air, he says. If I am ever forced to cover guys playing video games...
girls playing video games?
Yeah, he's fine with that. I will retire and move to a rural fishing village and sell bait.
That's awfully specific.
It is really specific. You want me out? Demand video game tournaments on ESPN because that's what appeared on ESPN2 yesterday.
Well, everybody, I think you can all agree with me after hearing that quote. I think we should all start demanding more esports on ESPN.
Yeah, because this guy sucks.
Maybe he'll leave because he seems like a jerk.
There's a whole...
He also mistakenly called it a League of Legends tournament, so he clearly didn't even do any research.
No, he didn't know what he was talking about.
He just blasted this completely.
This is an article from the 27th from USA Today. I encourage you to check it out. It's actually the one that's linked on our Facebook page because it has the embedded video that's like his 3-minute rant about this.
Yeah. I'm going to read the other quote that's in this article because it's the most hackneyed condemning of video game players you could possibly get. Somebody lock the basement door at mom's house and don't let them out. I will quit this network if I'm ever asked to cover that. I tolerated Donkey Kong. I'll tell you what that was the equivalent of. There's a little more in between here, but of me putting a gun in my mouth and having to listen to that.
What?
What is this guy talking about?
He tolerated Donkey Kong.
He tolerated Donkey Kong. That's such an odd pull to me. Like, this guy's alive. This guy's hanging around back in the 80s and sees people playing Donkey Kong on an arcade machine, and he's just like, no, I'll put up with it for now, but not much longer.
I won't put a gun on my mouth now.
Now, but if I have to stand this Donkey Kong, you're gonna have to shoot me. Like, he also, oh my god, how much do you hate video games? Did an arcade machine fall on your parents and kill them? Like,
there's a part in the video where he talks about how he was like, listen, I tapped out at Harry Potter, okay? And I'm like, that's not even a game!
Well, there are Harry Potter games.
That's true. Lego, but the Lego Harry Potter games are amazing.
Yeah, also that Deathly Hallows one that plays like Gears of War. That's hilarious.
Get up, Harry, get back in the fight.
Get back in the fight! Harry Potter! But Harry Potter just chainsaws Voldemort in half. But, this guy... I feel like you read these quotes and you're like, oh, it can't possibly be that bad, but it is. Like, this guy is being like super serious about this. He's like just really angry that video games got near his sports.
And like I said, this is a 3-minute rant, and he just goes on about this.
He's clearly like actually really mad, and I don't get it. Like, does he think that these games are defiling the sanctity of his favorite games? Because sports. Newsflash, sports are also just games that people play.
It's true.
They're games with a ton of money put into them, but they're just games. Mm-hmm. And really, there's very little difference between those and esports. It's just competition. It's a competition within a game.
Now, when during his broadcast, he plays clips of the broadcast of Here's a Dorm.
Yeah.
And
he actively, like, mocks the commentators.
He does. He's like, oh, it's so weird.
I can't believe they're getting excited about
Yeah, they're so into it. And it's funny, because I'm listening to the commentators and I'm watching the thing, and I'm like, and I just think it's hilarious that Cowherd doesn't, like, he fails to realize that...
The connection here?
It's exactly the same.
Can we play some clips of soccer riots?
It's...
Maybe? Like, I can't believe they're so into it. I can't believe it, Lex.
I just meant in terms of the coverage, right? You hear those commentators, not only are they just as jazzed as they would be about a football game, but the way they talk about it, like, exactly the same.
You watch a game of baseball, and the guys are like, oh, and here's the pitch. And it's a hit, and he's running around the bases, and oh my god, it's flying really high, and oh, is the guy gonna catch it? He's gonna catch it! He didn't catch it! Oh my god! Home run! Like... It's the same. It's the exact same. And so what's bothersome about these quotes from Cowherd is just the sheer hypocrisy of it.
He can't realize the obvious that it is the same thing.
It's just a matter of personal preference. Like, I don't care for esports, but I also don't care for regular sports.
It's true.
I just don't like sports. Yeah. But then there's some people who care for esports, but not regular sports. There's some people who like both. There's some people who only like regular sports. Like, and that's fine. But just the vitriol coming out of this guy's mouth about esports is baffling to me. Like, why is he just so mad?
But luckily we know that he is a huge hypocrite, which should be a surprise to no one.
Yeah, seriously.
So Polygon did a great article.
An opinion piece here.
The next day, April 28th, after the article about Cowherd's rant came out. And it references his quote about going to a rural fishing village.
Yes, it does.
I like how he says it's a village.
I wonder if he's like watching like Sega Pro Bass Fishing or something.
He probably, that would be okay.
Yeah. Be like, dude, you can play it during the winter when you can't go fishing.
Yeah.
Maybe he'd be into it.
So it mentions the quote about how he said, if I am ever forced to cover guys playing video games, I will retire. Oh. He specifically said that.
Yes. He sure did.
And then we find out that he has covered guys playing video games before.
I glanced at this article, and I remember this now, because I skimmed this article back when you first found it. Yep.
Yeah, he had no problem covering
NFL,
Madden, NFL
11, 12, 13, because that's sports. It's got John Madden's name on it.
Yeah. They're video games, but they're based off the real thing.
It doesn't compromise my masculinity.
Nope.
I don't know about these elves. They're a little too pretty. Are the elves in Heroes of the Storm too sexy?
Find out later.
Find out later.
Also, apparently he had his likeness lended to a game. I can't remember which one it was.
Oh, yes. It was an NBA game.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
NBA Jam reboot for the Wii back in 2010.
And he was a character in it.
Yeah.
So he's not completely disconnected from video games.
Apparently you liked video games before.
This guy's a wacko.
He sucks.
He really does.
He's just a huge jerk. And he should go die.
No, he should go to a rural fishing village.
Sell bait. Well, yeah.
We got way off topic, but we got into this from the partnership between esports and this track and field organization. That partnership exists to promote physical health and fitness in the esports community as like a publicity thing. So the other thing is, I mean, he mentions the old hackneyed, like, these guys live in their mom's basement thing. You know, I'm going to be honest, I'm sure some of them probably live in their mom's basement. But some people who are in any profession live in their mom's basement.
I mean, hey, I live on the second floor of my mom's house,
Me
okay?
Too. Me
All
too.
right? I'm not delegated to the basement. I'm not on that level. Literally.
But it's still just, it's this really unfair cliche that comes off as just the simplest way you can deride people who are into this stuff. It's like, oh, you like video games? You must live in your mom's basement.
Well, it's derogatory.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
And you must be out of shape, and you must be bad with women, and you must be so on and so forth.
And you must be fat.
And you must be fat. And none of these things are true anymore.
Not really.
And I don't think they ever really were true. Like,
yeah, because even in the 80s when everyone was playing at arcades, you had to walk to the arcade.
Yeah, and Donkey Kong Champion guy? That dude's not fat.
Not at all.
He might be kind of weird with women. I don't know. He's got a beard.
He probably is. You've seen pictures of him, you know.
Yeah, he's got that long hair. I don't know about that. But, so this is, like, even if you were to say, like, oh, they're not real sports because they're not even physically fit, or they're not even, like, they don't have that sportsman spirit. Well, now they're partnering up with an actual sports organization to promote fitness among the esports community. Like, come on. Also, these guys in the pictures, they look like they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I mean, I've never watched esports and had seen shots of the people who are actually playing and thought, like, oh, what a slob.
Yeah.
They all actually look like professional athletes from like physical sports, which they kind of
do,
which they totally don't need to because they don't like have to be physically fit like that. But they totally,
they're on camera.
But they totally look like that.
Yeah. Well, and we have a bunch of friends who play League of Legends a lot, and they're in way better shape than us.
Oh my god, they are.
They're in such better shape.
They do like
they actually have regular workout routines,
like the Tough Mudder stuff.
Oh yeah,
they do that.
Yeah, they're nuts.
They are nuts. Anyone who does Tough Mudder is nuts.
Super nuts. But it's ridiculous. So Colin Cowherd, you suck. Esports, good for you for doing this little publicity thing.
But you shouldn't. But esports, nicely. You shouldn't have to. I think that's the only sad thing to me about this.
But it's a smart move on their part.
It is.
Because there are a lot of people like Colin Cowherd who have an entirely incorrect idea about all of this stuff. And this may be a way of showing people that it's not exactly what they might think it is. Because of whatever prejudices they might have. So, good job.
Good job.
Is Heroes of the Storm actually out? Or was this like a pre-release tournament thing?
Comes out tomorrow.
Okay, so this was a before the release, like, everybody play it. How'd they have a championship if no one's been able to play it yet?
See, I was asking some of our Tough Mudder friends that.
Yes.
And apparently, I mean, it has been in beta for a while.
Okay, so they're doing it based off, like, top players.
Yeah.
From the beta.
I'm pretty sure that was it.
That makes sense. Alright, what do we got next?
What do we have next? What do you want to talk about?
We should talk about Silent Hills.
Oh, that is the other big news of the day.
Yeah, big depressing news.
Well, let's do a bump before we get into that.
Okay,
so, hey, Are you confused because you're not hearing chiptune music right now? Don't worry, you're going to get back to that a little after 8 o'clock.
Yep.
We are Don't Copy That Floppy with your hosts Lex and Dan. We are a video game news podcast broadcasting live on chipit.net every week on Fridays from 7 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. Dan, where can they find us on social media?
They can find us on Facebook. They can find us on Twitter. They can find us on YouTube. They can find us on Steam. And they can find us on iTunes. We have archives on iTunes as well as chipit.net's website. And we you can find us at Don't Copy That Floppy on all of those places, except for Twitter, where we are at DCTF Podcast.
Truth.
So like us, follow us, subscribe to us, do everything to us.
Do everything.
We want it.
Now we had talked about a few weeks ago how Konami and Kojima have been having a tiff.
Creative differences.
And Kojima, even though it has not been officially announced, Kojima is being let go from Konami. Yes. That's pretty much certain.
He's staying on until he finishes MGS5.
Yeah.
And then he's gone.
So we had mentioned earlier, like, what's going to happen with
Silent Hills.
Silent Hills.
A lot of people were speculating about this.
And we knew that a few weeks ago, the only thing that Konami had released was a statement saying that Silent Hills will happen with or without Kojima, which at the time I said, it means it's happening without Kojima.
Yeah, and I agreed.
And you had thought that we would keep, like, Benicio del Toro.
Because Del Toro was the other big name attached to it.
Yeah.
As, like, the director. So I assumed, like, maybe Kojima will have to leave the project, but we'll still get the game made by Del Toro.
But apparently the worst has happened, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't heard, news broke on Sunday, April 26th.
Yep.
And I read it in an article from Bleeding Cool first. Del Toro was at a film convention.
Yes.
And somebody asked him about Silent Hills. And his direct quote is, "It's not going to happen, and that breaks my greasy heart." Okay, it's weird that he said greasy heart.
No, it's great.
It's great.
This sucks.
It really sucks.
Like, this super sucks. PT has now been pulled from the PlayStation Network.
As of this past Wednesday.
Which is, like, the most damning, like, evidence of, like, yes, this is not happening. They're removing PT, which was a playable teaser for Silent Hills. No more of that. Along with Kojima's name being removed from a lot of other things on Konami's website and such. He was removed from this project. Del Toro now confirming that it's not happening.
Also, the guy
Konami
from...
it's just not happening.
The guy from Walking Dead, Norman Reedus. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Yes.
Who was going to play the Silent Hills protagonist, responded because Del Toro's quote was put up on Twitter like immediately after he said it,
right.
And Norman Reedus responded to that and said, "Yeah, that's true. It's not happening."
And his contract period with Konami's expired at this point. Has also happened, so he's not on the official website or anything else. Yep.
Yeah. So this baffles me because people responded so well to the teaser that even
it's ridiculous.
Even if they had ditched the entire creative team and literally just put out whatever they had made thus far, it would have still sold like crazy.
Yeah,
it would have gotten terrible reviews and people wouldn't have liked it in the long run.
Would have bought it though.
But people would totally
so for them
pay
to just
it.
Completely get rid of it.
Yeah, it's just throwing money away. I don't understand that logic at all. Maybe there was some contractual stuff with Del Toro, or
because with Kojima leaving, they could have run into trouble with using the Fox engine, which is developed by Kojima Productions. And I don't know if maybe Del Toro got into hot water with them because he was pissed about them letting Kojima go. Because I know that Del Toro and Kojima are friends. Like, they're buddies.
That's like the best guys' night ever.
Seriously. Because I know Del Toro loves him some Metal Gear. He does.
And then Doug Jones stops by in a big rubber suit. It just makes weird movements in the background.
Tries to eat some children. This is like a huge bummer, though. And I want to bring up that Konami said, in addition to this, Konami Digital Entertainment Corporation Limited will continue to develop the Silent Hill series. This isn't what I want to hear. I feel like to a lot of people, it's like, oh, but we're still going to be getting Silent Hill games. No, that's not good news. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but like the last 5 Silent Hill games have sucked.
Yeah.
They're awful. Like, Shattered Memories is okay. All of the other ones that have come out since 3 are garbage. They're terrible. They're not scary, they're not smart, they're just bad games. And the fact that Konami's going to keep making Silent Hill but not make this game with these people means that we're just going to get more crappy Silent Hill games that are phoned in and just not worth a damn.
That's true.
You know? Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3, masterpieces. Silent Hill 4, okay, but it wasn't originally a Silent Hill game, so it's kind of like, I don't know. Everything past that, send it away. I don't even know what else to say about this.
It's the worst.
It's really bad news.
The worst thing that could have happened.
This game's one of the reasons I bought a PS4. I bought a PS4 for Bloodborne, Metal Gear Solid 5, and this, pretty much. So to lose this is kind of upsetting. It's a bummer. I mean, I've gotten other things for the PS4 since then, but it's like, oh, this is one of the things I was really looking forward to. It was going to be something special, and now it's just going to be nothing. Or a terrible Silent Hill game.
You had some really dark games planned for your PS4.
That's what I want.
Nothing happy on that.
No, it's a bad list. Everything's super grimdark. Unfortunate news. I'm rather upset with Konami's decisions surrounding all of this.
Yeah, this is kind of one bad decision after another for that company.
Especially from a PR standpoint.
Totally.
This is not going to ingratiate people to them at all.
What I think is interesting is you've got, they're firing Kojima, but he can't talk about it.
Yeah.
But it's funny that, like, he probably knew about Silent Hills all this time as well, and again, wouldn't talk about it probably because he couldn't. Yeah. But Del Toro was like so clearly not in that system because someone just asked him at a convention. He was like, "Oh yeah, no, that's not happening."
Sorry.
Someone should have been like, "Hey, is Kojima getting fired?" And Del Toro would be like, "Yeah, I talked to him yesterday on the phone."
Yeah, like exactly. I want Kojima and Del Toro to make a video game still.
I'm really hoping that Kojima will go off and start his own company.
He makes Zone of the Enders 3.
Makes Zone of the Enders 3.
That's what I want.
That would be pretty good,
I want him to make
actually.
that with Del Toro.
That would be cool.
That'd be awesome.
Doug Jones to do all the motion capture.
For his JT.
No, but getting... if Kojima starts his own company, then it would be really cool to see him do maybe like an original horror game with Del Toro.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. That would be cool. That would be a good way
really good
to sort of make up for all of this bummer stuff.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But there was something about PT... I think it was in the article you just closed.
Well, it's that it was taken down off the PSN, but if you had already downloaded it, you can still re-download it.
Oh, really?
They're just not allowing new downloads of the game. So if you have PT now, even if you get rid of it, you will be able to download it again, should you want it in the future.
Okay.
But you are no longer allowed to download it if it does not exist on your console at present. Here's our other big story. We
had 3 big stories this week, and we're really just blowing through them.
Yeah, we're being concise, to the point, getting it done.
Colin Cowherd sucks.
Colin Cowherd sucks. Doing a good job.
Konami sucks.
Wasting time, summing up how good a job we're doing. So last week we talked about Steam starting up a mod shop with Skyrim specifically, where modders could sell their mods for money.
As little as 25 cents.
Something like that.
As much as $6 or $8.
Yeah, so not unreasonable.
No.
And we talked about it last week as, like, we thought this was a cool idea.
Yeah, obviously we thought, like, it might have some pitfalls, but overall, positive.
It's not required that these mods be charged for.
Mm-hmm.
It literally just exists as a way of modders being able to get some money for their work.
But it turns out some other people didn't like this so much.
Yeah, it turns out that a lot of people don't think that any modders deserve money for what they do.
No, because they're all whores. Those are several direct quotes.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. So, to the point, this was the backlash to this was
actually
so strong.
Let me grab open a Kotaku article.
Okay.
That summed up a lot of this stuff really well.
The announcement of this happened late last week, and then by the 27th, by this past Monday, it had turned into this gigantic mess of people saying, "This is messed up, you can't do this," blah, 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 whores and so forth. And Valve actually caved and removed this all from Steam and said, "We're not doing it anymore." The backlash was so strong that almost immediately Valve just said, "Oh wait, never mind. It was a bad idea, sorry." I'm a little irritated that Valve caved so easily on this. On the one hand.
Well, they were really bombarded.
Yeah, it was big. I mean, you found some information last week that there was an issue, with the way modders can, the way modders can, like share assets with one another.
Oh, frequently. So there was a really great video on GameSpot, I believe is where it's hosted. There's a team of, I think, British gentlemen who do a weekly or every 2 week show about the latest, hottest, greatest mods for Skyrim. Yeah. I think we discussed that several weeks ago because we were shocked that they were still doing that show.
Yeah, we did.
But they did a half an hour episode specifically on the modding thing right after it was announced. And the conclusion they came to was pretty much the same one that we came to, which overall it seems positive. Yeah. But they did bring up the idea that the modding community on Steam was very collaborative. So they would share different pieces of mods with each other. Right. And it was okay because no one was making money, so it was kind of like whatever. And people would build on each other's mods.
So introducing this money element gives you kind of a hazy area where what if somebody is making money off their mod that includes content from somebody else's mod.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that was exactly what happened in the starting bundle of mods.
There was one mod in the starting bundle
that had some borrowed assets.
Yes.
So a bunch of players
removed that from the pack, though.
Players pointed it out in their already extreme anger that just sort of stoked the fire of that.
Yeah.
And then Valve did the right thing. They were like, "Whoa, sorry about that." And they removed it immediately. Yeah. Now
this did not change anybody's opinions on this.
No, it pretty much just reinforced it. It's the way the system was supposed to work, because now it's gone. Was that when you wanted to have to sell your mod, you would submit it to Valve, and then Valve would look it over. There would be a process. They would make sure that you weren't borrowing assets from someone else's.
Yes.
And then if you were, they wouldn't let you sell it. If you weren't, then you're all good. Yeah. And you'd think that they would have applied an even higher level of scrutiny to their opening bundle. So the fact that they kind of beefed that really hurt them, I think, in a big way.
At the same time, I feel like even regardless, this backlash would have happened.
Yeah, and because their plan was to review these mods, there were safeguards in place to prevent the things that everyone was so angry about. So it makes the Steam users' anger even less valid to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the things
people are saying about this are stupid.
And they're mean to modders.
They're really mean.
Like one of them in the Kotaku article that's actually from the 23rd, which is right when all this backlash started, because it was when the thing was first announced. There were lots of threads on Steam. It gives an example of one with a screenshot. The thread being, "I thought modders made mods for fun."
I don't think this practice of pay for mods is going to encourage trust between players and modders.
And then the comments are on that are things like, "That's capitalism for you. Seriously, though, this thing is effed up. Yup, even modders know better. The fact
that the Temptation's now there slowly corrupting
them. It hadn't even started yet when you posted this.
What are you talking about? You sound crazy.
You do sound crazy.
Like, it's going to corrupt them. It's like the dark side of the Force. Like, they're just done. It's... the knee-jerk reaction to this really upsets me. Because, like you said, some of these things that people say are mean to modders. You said that some people were saying, like, now the modders can sell their mods, and it's like they can whore themselves out.
Yeah, I'm trying to find one of the horror quotes. Oh, here we go. You want me to pay the cost of an indie game for a mod? Tell you what, make an indie game around the premise of your mod, then we'll talk. Till then, fuck you for selling out, you shameless whore.
Like, whoa!
That's...
Calm down! Jesus. Like, your mod didn't work properly when it was free, so why should I pay money for it, jackass? Just don't!
Yeah, that's the easy solution. If you don't like
this not functioning mod, maybe just don't buy it!
Also, if you downloaded it when it was free and it didn't work...
People modding is dead. Welcome to the beginning of the end of Steam. That's not true! Modding would have probably been more alive than ever, because now people who could make mods had more incentive to make them and make them good!
Yeah, because when you spend hours and hours and hours on a mod, when you could be spending time, earning money at a job...
Yeah.
You're less incentivized to work on that mod because you're not getting financial compensation for it.
Yeah.
But if you are getting financial compensation, you could spend more time on it and make more mods.
Wow, what a novel concept. Oh my goodness. I thought modders just made mods for fun. To some degree, that's true. But that doesn't mean they don't deserve money for it. That's like saying that somebody who makes pottery... I thought you just made pottery for fun. Why should I have to pay you for it? Just give it to me.
Yeah.
No, that's
It's not
stupid.
like you invented clay, Dan.
Ridiculous. Actually, you borrowed that glaze from another potter?
Yeah.
You can't charge for that.
This style is something I've seen before, so I don't think I should have to pay for it.
This vase didn't hold enough flowers when I bought it before, or when I got it for free. Why would I pay for it now? Like, this is dumb. This is really dumb.
And it sounds like the...
I'm gonna take a hardline stance on this and say that the majority of the people who were against this and are backlashing at this are assholes.
And they wouldn't pay for... It feels like, to me, that they're not saying this because they think it's going to destroy modding. They're saying this because they're mad that now they have to pay money
for something.
And they just want it to be free.
Which is like, screw you.
It's really selfish.
It's super selfish. It's douchey. Everybody who posted in these threads is an asshole. That's my stance. You can deal with it.
Deal with it.
Tell me on Facebook how wrong I am, but first, like us.
Please interact with us on social media.
Please do it.
No,
we don't even care if it's to yell at us.
This is... Although there is one legitimate grievance that people have brought up.
Yes.
Which is the pay split. And I can't remember if we talked about this last week.
We did not. And it is probably the biggest thing in support of this not happening, in my opinion.
The way the pay split was, the percentages were blocked out. It was modders who are selling their mod get 25% of the profits. Now, the other...
That's way too low.
Yeah, it's super low. The other 75, they could actually choose to have some of that go to charity, or like a significant amount of that go to charity, which was a nice, attempt at making up for it, but it's still... They still should have gotten more of it. And then normally, assuming that it wasn't none of it was going to charity, 45 went to Bethesda and 30 went to Valve, or I could have those mixed up.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That is too much going to Valve and the original.
And I'm not saying that Valve and Bethesda shouldn't get a cut. I think they should. I
think the modders should get at least 50%.
Totally, because they're the one who put all the work in.
I think they should get minimum 50%. The other thing is, someone here, one of these people says you pay the cost of an indie game for a mod. Yeah, some of those mods add huge areas to these games.
And spent just as much time to develop as an indie game.
So yes, you should have to pay that much for them. You're really lucky that you don't, frankly. Some people were saying that it was Bethesda who set it at 75%.
Which wouldn't surprise me at all, because Valve is usually way more reasonable than that.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised with Bethesda, so that's a beef on Bethesda's part. Not that it matters at this point.
Oh, this was funny.
Some people saying...
Long-term, being able to sell mods via Steam will be the biggest event in gaming this year. Okay. I mean,
that's kind of funny in retrospect.
It's an interesting news story, but it's not the biggest event in gaming this year. I'm sorry.
Well, and there's other people saying, Valve's recognizing mod creators for what they are. Developers.
And a lot of the people saying that are developers because they understand how hard it is to make a game.
Go figure. And the people who are saying that otherwise are just people who play video games and get a bunch of free mods and don't know how much work goes into this stuff.
Totally.
Idiots. My God. So I guess, it's not happening anymore, so everybody can cease their freaking death threats and, put down the pitchforks and quit, faffing about like infants.
Oh, there was a petition. This was part of the reason why I got taken down. There was a petition for change.org that people signed to get it taken down. I don't know how many signatures it ended up coming to. I might check in a minute.
I didn't even look at it.
But I know that
so disgusting.
5 days ago when I found it, it was pretty high up there.
Yeah.
It's in around 60,000.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
I want to mention the statistic you mentioned before we started recording tonight, which was that only 9% of Skyrim players have actually used mods.
I don't remember which article that was in. It was in one of the... We have 2 different Polygon articles we're citing that are both from the 27th.
Yeah. We talked about it. We had a Kotaku article here. We're pulling information for this from a ton of different articles, basically. But you mentioned that if that's the case, if it's that few, then the people who were complaining about this had to have been...
They couldn't have even been all of that 9%, because I know I'm someone who plays mods on Skyrim specifically all the time, and I thought this was a great idea.
Yeah.
So even if you say, it was the majority of them, it's probably only, 7% of players that have played Skyrim were against the idea of paid mods.
But they caused enough of a shitstorm to get this just gone.
And that actually seems to take this to zoom this out a little bit. That seems like par for the course for video gaming. That a minority...
Tiny vocal minority.
Yeah, of gamers get really upset and messes everything up.
I hate to bring it up, but we could mention Gamergate.
I was about to say that, yes.
That was, once again, a tiny group of really misogynistic, angry, bitter gamers ruining it for everybody else.
Yep.
And it's really bothersome that this is the case in the gaming community.
That we see this multiple times.
Oh, we see this a lot.
In the gaming community. And it brings me back to a lot of the articles that were written around the time that Gamergate was starting, where people were saying things like the term gamer should be gotten rid of, or at least that the person writing the article was saying, I don't identify as a gamer because I know that a small percentage of gamers are like this, and I don't want to be associated with them.
Yeah. And
the more stories we do with that percentage just ruining everything for everyone, it just moves me farther and farther, or closer and closer to the opinion that journalist put forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know, my initial reaction is no. I mean, they're only a minority.
It's the same as when everyone wanted to change French, or not everyone. A few stupid people wanted to change French fries to freedom fries after 9/11 happened.
Yep.
It's that kind of thing, where it's we need to distance ourselves from all of this and show that we're awesome. But you're right. The more I see stuff like this happen, I'm I don't want to be associated with these people.
Mm-hmm.
I played Skyrim. I didn't really use any mods, but had I been a mod person, I would have been angry to be associated with these people.
And I'm not going to be a Colin Cowherd, all right? I'm going to assume that these people that are yelling at other people over the internet are not mouth breathers who are overweight and live in their mother's basements.
No, I just think they're selfish jerks.
Yeah, I am going to assume they're shitheads, though, because they clearly are. They might be really physically fit and, make a lot of money and live in their own apartment.
Then they can afford the mods.
They totally can. Come on.
If you can afford a nice computer to play Skyrim on, you can afford a couple $2 mods.
It's true. Yeah, that's the other thing. None of these mods were ever going to cost more than $6 or $8.
And that's that would be the price for the huge ones
that have new zones and new quests and stuff,
and new monsters and everything,
which is totally a reasonable amount of money to pay.
Yeah, it is.
I'm just so disappointed that this is not happening.
Me too. Guess. And I'm less disappointed it's not happening because of, thinking that the actual thing is, a super great revolutionary idea, and more disappointed at the reason why it's not still happening.
Yeah, and because...
I'm upset at how it reflects on the gaming community as a whole, and I'm upset that these people won.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of angry with Steam and with Valve and Steam for buckling on this.
One of the things that Valve says is that they will probably, and this is from one of the Polygon articles, that they will probably still be introducing the idea of paid mods, just with a different game in the future.
Right.
And I think that, I mean, even introducing it with Skyrim, I could see how that could have been a very bad idea because it had such an established community.
Yeah.
It would make more sense to introduce it with a new game.
Yeah, like alongside a new game.
Yeah. Because I think people will take to it better in that kind of scenario. That's probably what's going to happen in the future.
I mean, Valve themselves said they wanted to encourage people to make more in-depth, creative, great mods for moddable games. And they felt that this was a good way to do that. It gives people more of an incentive.
It does. It totally does.
So, upsetting. Very upsetting. And there's articles too. There's another Polygon article.
Scroll down. The Change.org petition got
130,000
supporters.
Jeez. So this is Gabe Newell actually went to Reddit over the weekend to answer questions about it too.
Oh yeah, he didn't ask me anything. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and he said charging for mods increases quality and value and helps creators sustain their work, which is true.
Yeah,
which is correct. He was optimistic this would be a good thing. This article is one of the ones from the 27th on Polygon. It goes on with modders also defending getting paid for their work and everything.
Because it turns out that people who are doing all of this back-breaking work on these mods would kind of like to be compensated.
Yeah, and I think they deserve it, but apparently 130,000 people think that they don't.
Pretty much.
I hope you feel bad about yourselves. I really do. Like, if any of you are listening.
And again, I'm not saying it's doesn't have some nuance to the issue.
No, it absolutely isn't 100% a good thing. But it's not, the end of the freaking world. Bleh.
You know what is the end of the freaking world? One of the games on this next list we're going to talk about.
We talked a while ago, back in February, I believe. I think we briefly mentioned that a World Video Game Hall of Fame
the Strong National Museum of Play. That's a weird name.
There are 15 finalists for their inaugural World Video Game Hall of Fame, announced on the April 28th. This is from a Polygon article. What is a tragedy, as you said, is one of the games on this list, that being Angry Birds.
Why?
Let's get that out of here.
And I think it's only even more disappointing because everything else on this list is great.
Everything else, we got Doom, FIFA, Legend of Zelda, Minecraft, Oregon Trail, Pac-Man, Pokemon, Pong, The Sims, Sonic the Hedgehog, Space Invaders, Super Mario Bros., Tetris, and World of Warcraft. All of those others, I could easily make an argument for.
Totally. Maybe the only thing that seems a little weird to me is FIFA. But I think they're referring to the original FIFA rather than the franchise as a whole or the current one.
Same as The Sims.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just what it was to gaming. Because I would argue that maybe The Sims is kind of I don't know about that. Mm-hmm. But I don't think all of these are going to be brought in, though. They said these are the finalists.
Well, hopefully Angry Birds doesn't make the cut.
Let's cross our fingers. The games will be considered for entry into the World Video Game Hall of Fame based on 4 criteria. Icon status, that the game is recognized and remembered. Longevity, that the game has enjoyed sustained popularity. Geographical reach, that it's known around the world. And influence, that it has an impact on subsequent games, other forms of entertainment, or pop culture and society.
I'm trying to think of how Angry Birds fits that criteria. Longevity, there's no way it fits that criteria.
It's already on its way out.
Yeah, icon status
is kind of the same thing. It's not going to be remembered.
Yeah, geographical reach.
I guarantee that game will be forgotten in a few years.
Geographical reach, sure, because there's people around the world who played it.
Yeah.
Influence, you could say yes, but not in a good way, because it inspired a bunch of shovelware that was exactly like it.
Its influence is a bunch of shovelware and overpriced t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And a movie that looked probably going to be gone awful.
Oh god, that movie's going to be so bad. Ugh. I kind of want to see it to just see how much of a train wreck it's going to
be. No. Should we see it and then do a 1-hour review of it?
I think we should.
So this article actually has a little poll you can vote on for what your top choice is.
What is your top choice? Again, the options are Angry Birds, Doom, FIFA, The Legend of Zelda, Minecraft, The Oregon Trail, Pac-Man, Pokemon, Pong, The Sims, Sonic the Hedgehog, Space Invaders, Super Mario Bros., Tetris, and World of Warcraft.
We should put this up on our Facebook.
Yeah, put a link to that.
Yeah, we'll do that. And everybody can... I'll do it after. The show's almost over, so I'll do it after we finish. People on our Facebook can go vote and tell us what they voted on.
Ooh, what is my choice for that? Man, maybe Legend of Zelda. Or Doom, because Doom really paved the way for...
I mean, as far as, like, cultural impact and longevity and geographical reach, Super Mario Brothers is pretty hard to beat.
That's true.
It may not be my favorite on that list, but it's undeniably has to be in this Hall of Fame. Pokemon, definitely. And I think Doom as well. Because Doom, like, I mean, Wolfenstein came before it, but Doom was the first-person shooter.
Yeah.
That led to everything else. So, it's pretty important. It's also awesome.
It's also awesome. Don't forget.
I love Doom. Let's see.
We got some other little bits of news here.
Yeah, I don't think we really need to talk about this one.
Well, I was going to say, we could save this to next week if you wanted.
Yeah, it's not like an urgent thing to talk about. I want to talk a little bit about this Final Fantasy 15 demo complaints being addressed by Square Enix.
Oh, can we talk about the Batman thing next week as well? Because I want to spend time on that, and I don't think we have enough time to talk about it.
Yeah, because it's indicative of other problems in the game industry, so it deserves a little more
And we've had enough game industry rants so far this episode, I think.
So Square Enix put out a Final Fantasy 15 demo called Episode Duske, I don't know how to pronounce it. There's a bunch of random Latin and stuff in this game for no good reason.
Lots of
the character's is named Gladiolus. I'll never get over that. So a survey of people who played it returned a huge amount of feedback, and the game's director Hajime Tabata addresses the top 15 complaints one by one in this video. This is we're reading this off a Eurogamer article.
Published the 28th.
That is just a point-by-point addressing of all of these problems. Some of these, their answers are just practically non-answers, which I find funny, because I talked about how I didn't know how I felt about how this game was shaping up, I think last week or the week before.
Yeah.
And this kind of makes me feel a little even more hesitant about it actually being good, because some of these complaints come off as like they don't know what they're going to do about this.
And some of them...
And this deep into development, that's bad.
Yeah, and some of their answers are just like, oh, that's wrong, well, we'll just fix it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but if you knew... But it was clearly wrong... You could have fixed it at any time, but it was still in the demo.
Someone says that a lot of the stuff is lock-on and camera problems. Someone says the lock-on was useless. The director says, the problem is that the camera's difficult to use. Yes, that's correct.
That's true.
Like, then they say they're working on letting players know how to lock on better. Like,
don't
what?
Don't worry, we're not going to fix the lock-on, but we'll give you better instructions on how to use it.
The camera's too close. I can't tell what's going on. We may consider allowing the player to choose from different camera distances.
The AI is dumb. Allies get in the way. We will probably
address that from a programming end. The camera felt heavy or sluggish. We'll make sure it's smoother.
Simple as that.
Okay.
Sure you will.
There's some stuff about the graphics and frame rate.
And those are pretty legitimate complaints.
Yeah,
sure.
For the Jaggies, they say there's no anti-aliasing in the demo, but it'll be in the final game. That, I believe. They're working towards full HD, but to them the frame rate is more important than the resolution, which is worrying to me, considering one of the things they're playing up with this game is how pretty it is. And the insinuation there that they may not get it running in true HD is worrying.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing to hear.
AAA titles coming out in this day and age kind of need to be in HD.
Especially one that's being marketed on how nice it looks as much as this game. I get that the motion's realistic, but because of that, it feels slow. We're working on that. Can you include a mini-map? Yes, we will. I want a dodge action that doesn't take my magic points. There actually is a dodge roll. Okay.
We're talking about something like a dodge roll, right? So yeah. there actually is a dodge roll. And I was like,
People saying that it's too monotonous. People saying that battles are too difficult or easy. Some people saying that stamina needed for dashing is annoying. Some of these complaints are just like people nitpicking.
And some of the complaints are real dumb.
Really dumb. Just generally that there's lots of bugs. There's one where they say the main character's voice is strange. He sounds like Batman. And they say the voice acting is already different from what's in the demo, which is mystifying to me.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
That's bizarre. I mean, I don't know. But my favorite complaint of
the top 15, enough people asked this that they had to put it in the top 15. Yes.
There's a character in the game named Cidny, who is a girl who is your mechanic, and she's cute. But the question, or the complaint that came up is, Cidny is too sexy. She's just too damn sexy.
The gamers couldn't handle it.
They can't handle it. But don't worry, because Tabata says that Cidny is actually not meant to be an erotic character.
Yeah, it's fine.
Because she works on cars, which means she's not feminine, so how could she possibly be erotic? Yeah. That's a very Japanese sentiment.
Her character is very energetic and outgoing, while
she's very
her chest is certainly outgoing in that picture.
That camera angle, yeah, there you go. With those traits paired with her appearance, we feel it would be problematic, even if, say, it wouldn't be problematic, even if, say, she shows up on screen while your parents are in the living room.
Here's the thing about Final Fantasy games of years past, and we can just think about, like, Final Fantasy X, right? Yeah. You can think of, like, Lulu.
Oh, yeah.
There's the whole lot of cleavage going on there. And Riku, that was her name, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't wear a shirt.
No.
She doesn't even wear a shirt.
Bikini top.
That's it. Just a scarf, though.
Short shorts, hot pants.
Yeah. And when you think, and Cindy, compared to those characters,
she's wearing like a jumpsuit from working on cars. I mean, she has it unzipped in the front, has like a tank top on underneath or something, or maybe it's just a bra. I can't tell from this angle.
But again, that for a Final Fantasy character, almost conservative.
She's way more conservative than most of the female characters we see in Final Fantasy titles.
Not to say that she probably shouldn't cover up a little more because sexism in video games. I get that argument.
Or maybe because she's working on a car.
Yeah, that would make sense.
You know, and one of the game's marketing manager says he thinks it's more about the amount of skin she shows for a mechanic, and Tabata says, "Oh, I see." But she's a very cheerful and active character. I don't think we want to change that. So that's called dodging the issue. Here,
maybe it's about moderating the way she's presented.
European players called for a female party member.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I guess the theme, you know, with we were talking about this last week, right?
Yeah.
That it's an all dude team because it's road trip.
Yep. Backstreet's back.
and I don't have as much of a problem with that because of past Final Fantasy games.
I mean, Tabata ensures us that Cidny will be a character you'd be completely comfortable with seeing in the living room. No, I don't think there's a more like affirming thing he could say to us. Really, I think that's all I needed to hear. Now I know that Cidny would be completely fine in my living room.
Which means when you get that little plastic toy model of her,
yes,
and you can put it in your living room,
it'll be fine. She's not too sexy. I don't have to worry. Thank goodness. Why?
Alright, well, we are just about out of time now, so...
I'm gonna do a really quick thing. Star Wars X-Wing, Star Wars TIE Fighter, and more LucasArts releases are joining Good Old Games, and they're gonna be on Steam. That's awesome. You should play them. They're really good Star Wars games.
Gonna be 77% off on May the 4th.
May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Swery's bizarre Xbox One game, Dark Dreams Don't Die, is going to be coming to PC. It was originally an Xbox One exclusive. Now you play it on the computer. Highly recommended. This game is nutty and awesome in the best ways.
Yeah.
Play it, buy it, spend money on it so that he makes more. Because it's an episodic thing and there's only 3 episodes out right now and it doesn't finish the story. We need this. And...
Is anything coming out?
Is anything coming out?
Wolfenstein: The Old Blood.
Oh, that looks cool. Actually, it's an expansion for the
new
new
Wolfenstein?
Wolfenstein game where you go into an evil Nazi science castle.
Sweet.
Looks awesome. Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor 2 Record Breaker. That's a remake of Devil Survivor 2 for the 3DS. I didn't play that one, but it's supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah, nothing else is coming out in the next week, really.
Yeah, that's about it. Monument Valley for Windows Phone. It's a puzzle game that some people seem to really like.
Oh, okay.
So you could check that out if you're into that kind of thing. But yeah, that's about it. And with that, we're pretty much out of time.
It's true. So, I have been Lex.
I've been Dan.
This has been Don't Copy That Floppy, a weekly video game news podcast broadcasting live from 7 to 8 p.m. on www.chipbit.net. Check us out on social media like Facebook and Twitter, Steam, YouTube, and iTunes. And also check us out on the chipbit.net site. We have archives in some of those places. And check out some of the other shows on chipbit.net, such as Game Over, the podcast about end of the world scenarios presented in video games and how we would deal with them if the world was to truly end that way. I hope they go for some really nuts ones, like some of the Final Fantasy ones.
Or like how we're all gonna die because Cindy's just too sexy.
Well, yeah. That goes without saying.
Everything in society will just stop. Must be oogling
a
her.
Female mechanic.
Yeah. She'll go in everyone's living room and those be like, no, I'm not comfortable.
My parents can't see this.
Ah! So, in the meantime, when you're contemplating whether or not Cindy's too sexy, remember what's really important. Don't copy that floppy. 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 Floppy.